Join me in the kitchen as we destigmatize foods that are accessible at my local 7-Eleven that accepts EBT or SNAP dollars. And we are going to make vegan spicy ramen. Here I minced some ginger and added 1 tablespoon of olive oil to a medium saucepan on medium heat. I then added some garlic and combined these 2 ingredients together to develop some aromatics for our vegan spicy ramen broth. I sauteed these 2 ingredients for about 3 to 5 minutes on medium heat, and then I gathered my spices that I wanted to incorporate in my broth. And these spices can be determined based on your patient's culture, what they have available to them, and also what their nutrition concerns are. If a patient has a nutrition concern where they cannot consume black pepper, for example, they have an ulcer or a hiatal hernia, then they can omit black pepper for potentially white pepper. And that is something that you can explore with the patient. But I am adding a teaspoon of mild curry, garlic powder, onion powder, ground ginger, a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, ground coriander, pink Himalayan salt, a half teaspoon of black pepper. And then I stirred all of these spices together to ensure that nothing was sticking to the bottom of the pan, and also to prepare the pan for the next few ingredients that I would add, which you can see here is gochujang, which is a Korean chili paste, and that is going to be the spicy, bold flavor that we're looking for in this vegan spicy ramen broth. You want to turn up your heat a bit because I added the gochujang cold to the pan, so I wanted to ensure that the gochujang was somewhat evenly distributed throughout this spice mixture, and also ensure that there were no large clumps. I then added miso paste to my pan, and I wanted to ensure that I had an umami flavor profile, and miso is going to do just the trick. So again, make sure that you are evenly incorporating the gochujang and the miso paste, because when you add this broth, you're going to see everything really come together beautifully. I added 1 cup of homemade vegetable broth that does not have any salt added. And here you can see that this beautiful broth continues to develop as you stir, 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 and continue to stir. Now, the vegetable broth that I added was made from vegetable scraps that are accumulated from the kitchen at my home, and I freeze those scraps and add them to my Instant Pot and add dried herbs such as basil and oregano and dried parsley, and that creates that beautiful brown broth that you just saw. We use that in various recipes, and it's really flavorful because it adds an additional layer of flavor to the spices and the aromatics that we've already incorporated into this spicy ramen vegan broth. Again, make sure that you continue to stir. Make sure that none of the spices are hiding at the bottom of your pan, and you are going to want to use the sides of your pan to ensure that there are no clumps, large or small, in your vegan ramen broth. Now, I let this reduce for about 8 to 10 minutes, and about halfway through, I added another cup of homemade vegan vegetable broth. And again, make sure that you are continuing to stir this broth as it simmers on the stove in between medium and low heat, depending on the type of stove that you are cooking with. Again, this flavor, you will be able to smell it as it is simmering and boiling, and you're standing over the pot, and you can see that beautiful color that is just continuing to evolve as you continue to stir this beautiful broth. So then I added about a cup of coconut milk that was actually light coconut milk, so it has less saturated fat. And then I wanted you all to see the packaging and me kind of unbox this sriracha ramen noodle soup. I selected this product because I am a vegetarian, and this was like the only option that I had at my local 7-Eleven. Now, the ingredients list is a mile long, but the first ingredient that you do see is wheat. So if your patient or client is allergic to wheat, then you will need to help them identify that on the nutrition facts label and possibly make another selection at their local convenience store. Inside of the packaging, there is a flavor packet that is sriracha flavored, and then you have those beautiful ramen noodles that we're going to add to our homemade vegan spicy ramen broth. And you want to just make sure that the noodles are covered in the broth so that each noodle is cooked to perfection, and you can cook that according to the package instructions. Next, you want to begin prepping your toppings as your ramen noodles are cooking. And I got out my handy dandy cast iron skillet and added 1 tablespoon of olive oil over medium heat to this cast iron. And I absolutely love adding frozen vegetables to my ramen, so I decided to include frozen corn and also frozen peas, which you'll see later on in this video. Now, if you have a patient or client that maybe doesn't have frozen corn and they have access to canned corn, that could also be incorporated as a topping on their vegan spicy ramen. Next, for a pop of color and also some vitamin A, I wanted to include some carrots fresh into my ramen. So I roughly chopped those and also roughly chopped up some green onions for that crispness and beautiful color that will really accent all of the different ingredients and toppings that we have added to this spicy vegan ramen. For the final pop of color and anthocyanins, I incorporated purple cabbage. And as we begin to plate this vegan spicy ramen, you can see that it's super hot. So this would be excellent on a cold and rainy day, which is when I made this. But also you could serve this cold as well if you wanted to let the vegan broth cool down all the way to room temperature, or even chill it in the refrigerator after it has cooled to room temperature. Then you could serve this on a hot day, and this could be a cold dish as well. So I charred my corn and peas for a smoky flavor, and I really loved how that came together in the ramen. I then added my roughly chopped carrots, and I added my purple cabbage, and all of these colors really are accenting each other. They look beautiful together, and your patient or client can differ the types of toppings that they want to include based on what they can afford, based on what they have access to, based on what their cultural preferences are, and also based on what they can consume based on their nutrition concerns. So these toppings are not standard. You can incorporate different toppings based on your client's beliefs and preferences. So this is what I had available. This is what I prefer. But at the same time, if you wanted to include a cultural appropriate food of your client's background, you could absolutely do so. You are helping the patient or client define what ramen is for them and what they can afford and what they want to eat or what they want to explore as well. So this is the final product. I did have hard-boiled eggs already available. And if your patient or client does consume animal protein, you could add beef jerky to that broth. All right, dig in. I hope that you enjoyed this video.